Hi colleagues, this is Mr. Granlund. I'm going to take you through the assessment tool. Now to start off with, I'm going to show you what one of my Schoology assessments looks like, show you some of the questions, and then we'll make our own together. So when I click on my assessment, it has that puzzle piece look, and you'll start by looking at the setup. There's all kinds of interesting options here that help students review questions, eliminate choices. You can give them a calculator and ruler during this. You can have them highlight the text and answer questions. You can also have a text-to-speech toolbar so that they can get an auditory response when they're taking the test. And you can have them see their attempt and the questions they got right and wrong right there. And you can have a number of times that they can submit things. Look through these. There's some interesting options. When we look at the questions, we have a wide array of different kinds of questions that we can ask. For my tests, I work with, I teach a very visual class. And so my questions tend to be things where I will show a picture and students can label those pictures accordingly. So this is a question where I'm asking students to label this workspace inside of Adobe Premiere. So I've taken a picture, a screenshot, and then I have labels and what different things they can do in these different areas, and they have to drag and drop the labels accordingly. Some of the other things that I do are ordering. So I'll have a sequence of steps where I'll ask a question, how do you export a project? And then they will have to arrange and rearrange these steps here. With every question that you create, you're going to have to create a correct answer as well, and that's going to be in here. And you'll have the options to have an exact match, a partial match, and you can even go in and give them a grade yourself. So maybe they just skipped a step, but all the rest of the steps are okay. You can go ahead and change that grade in the assessment later. Obviously, multiple choice. We all know how those work. And then you'll also see short answer essay questions. I tend to do a lot of these as well. This doesn't automatically grade, but there's a pretty slick way of grading short essay questions inside of the assessment tool. I'll show you that later. I'm going to head back and we're going to create an assessment. So I'm inside of my class. I'm going to click Add Materials and find Add Assessment. Now the difference between an assessment and a test and quiz is that the assessment has a lot broader options. There's a couple of things that the test and quiz can do that the assessment can't necessarily. Like the test and quiz has a question bank where the assessment doesn't, but this one's limited to just your true, false, multiple choice kinds of questions. I'm going to click Add Assessment. I'll give it a name, a due date, some points. While you're working on it, I recommend that you disable it, but you can have the test enabled from a specific range or just turn it on altogether. Give it a category. You can give it a scale. You can have the grade statistics so that students can kind of see where they landed in the class. And this is going to, now we start up at the startup. You're going to go through here, write your instructions. And click all the things that you think will apply. Let's take a look at some of the questions. So a chart. A chart might be something where you show a graph. So And you can see in here I've started creating this chart. And I'm going to create a chart in here. Maybe you have different values. You can have these values be interactive, and you can set up different different ways to make a chart and then read that chart, and you can ask a question according to that chart. So here I can add the correct threshold response. I could ignore the order, and I can chart these things, and so students would be graded on their ability to create this chart. Now, anytime you create a question, you can also preview what the students would see in this question. So you can see that they can adjust these and to make your question descriptive enough so that they can create the right thing. Here I've created a question on a number line. So it's a little logic question. A likes more things than B, B likes 4 things, C and D like 2 more things than A. If C likes 3 things, how many things does A like? So it might be 1, 2, 3, 4. And that might be the correct answer there. And then you'd save it. So you can use number lines to do all kinds of things. Let's take a look at another question. I'm a little bit unfamiliar with math short answer questions, but I'll click on it. Obviously, this is going to be a lot of experimentation, and look for other resources on the Schoology helpline as questions come up. I don't know all the answers, but it looks like you can type interesting math short answer questions into here. This is an interesting one. If you have some sort of reading comprehension test, that might be a good option for you, where you can put in texts, and students will have to highlight text and then come up with an answer that you're looking for. And you can leave it so that you can grade it yourself as you go through question by question. In highlight an image or highlight a hotspot, you can create, you can upload an image, but that image has to be less than 512 kilobytes. So it's quite a small image. If you're having trouble reducing the size quality of an image, you might try using some sort of image tools that you can find online, or you can send me an email and we might be able to work something out pretty quick. There's a lot of tools that will decrease the quality of an image to get you to the right size to do this. But what it will do is you'll put in an image, and you can actually draw an invisible line inside of that image. So let's say you have a series of text in Spanish, and in Spanish you give them a paragraph that describes something in a room. And so you find a picture of a kitchen, and in your paragraph of in Spanish you describe maybe the sink, and you want students to find the sink. Well, inside of this assessment tool, you can upload this picture and create a hotspot around that image. So I'm going to go ahead and upload this kitchen picture. And then it allows you to draw an area around different things. So your question, might be where, something about the sink, and then students would have to click on the sink, and the correct answer would be to click on the sink, and they would highlight. But you could also add distracting answers like clicking on the light, or maybe this pot filler back here, or the refrigerator. But then your correct answer would be clicking on the sink. So it's a neat way to use some of the visual resources and make your test a little bit more visual than just sticking to text-based questions. Filling in the blank, filling in the blank with drop-down menus, drag and drop labels, label an image, short answer. Click around, take a look at the different test questions, and try some things out. When you are grading an assessment, there's a number of ways that you can do this. First of all, you can preview your entire assessment, make sure everything looks good before you send it out to the students. The setup and the questions we've taken a look at. Now I'm in the grading area, and this is after students have finished everything. I can look at these questions by question or by student. So as students are completing it, this is going to be your primary view, and you can click in here and edit the number of correct answers. You can also go in and you might have to grade by question. But you probably won't have to grade like multiple choice or ordering questions because those will be automatically done. But you might have to grade all of your short answer questions. And that's what's really kind of slick about editing, grading this way. I can take a look at their short answers and then grade them right in just that one question for all the students, and it goes really, really quick, and it keeps track of it. And if you have a lot of them, you can just click to the next one. Sometimes teachers are worried about test fidelity, and you might want to consider having a lot more constructed responses if you want to make sure that you're testing a specific form of thinking, and you don't want students to just have, maybe their notes sitting out next to them. That's one of the options to create a test that maybe students can't cheat on. When you're looking at the overall, I think this is kind of neat to see how students are doing overall on the test. It'll give you kind of a range of their scores with the outliers. All right, I hope this is helpful, colleagues, and yeah, we'll talk again.